Today it's a book review of Love is the Killer App by Tim Sanders. It's time to be an authentic leader. Well, the full title is Love is the Killer App: How to Win Business and Influence Friends by Tim Sanders. This was a book that was given to me several years ago by a friend of mine, Ray. You know who you are. This was a book that really changed my life. It changed the way I looked about how to read a book, how to read specifically like business books. This is a fantastic book that I recommend, and I'm just going to share with you a couple of the key points that was most valuable to me and I think might be very valuable to you and may even prompt you to want to read this book as well. One of the things that this book talks about is using the white space in the book. In the front and the back of the book, you always have these blank pages. And what the book recommends is this concept called cliffing. Cliffing is where you write down quotables on the right side and the back cover, really any place where you see white space. You're basically going to destroy the book. You're not going to be able to give this book away for someone else to read because your notes are going to be all over it. One of the things that Tim Sanders recommends is that as you're reading the book, underline those key passages, those things that really make a light bulb go off for you. Underline it, and then additionally find the white space in the book and write what you just wrote down. Even put the page number next to it so that you can reference back quickly to the area where that quote came from. There's just a magic concept that happens when you write that down as it becomes even more ingrained into your brain. Additionally, when you go back years later, like I'm doing right now, you can go back, you can read just those things that you've written, and it feels as if you've reread the entire book because you're only reading those things that really resonated with you and really had that light bulb moment. I'm going to share with you some of the key concepts that I wrote down while I was reading this book. So these are all directly from the book. These are all from Tim Sanders. And on page 49, I wrote down here, talks about the Love Cat way. There's a whole bunch of stuff that I wrote down here. But on page 49, he says, trying to change a biz person is difficult. That's very true. Trying to change someone who doesn't trust you is impossible. That just, I probably are thinking the same thing as me. We all know that, but it's worth writing down as a reminder. It's more important to build trust with people so that you can then work with them. If you don't have trust, you simply truly have nothing. Another part of the book is in the knowledge section. So he talks about knowledge. On page 78, Tim talks about how to read a book, and this part starts specifically at page 78 through page 94. I wanted to make that note specifically because, as I mentioned, this book taught me how to read other books, and I want to be able to go quickly to just those pages. On page 95, Tim writes, the earlier you learn to evangelize a book, the more you will profit from it. Kind of like what I've done with this book. I tell most anyone I know about this book. If you've not read the book, I tell everyone to read it because it had such an impact on me. And I'll share with them some of the quotes like I'm doing with you right now. This is part of evangelizing a book. On page 115 is in the section, is it about networking? Tim writes, the purpose of collecting contacts is to give them away. So many people, they collect contacts and they think that this is their prized possession because they've got their whole big list of contacts. Tim turns that on its side, and he's making the point here that what's more important is that you're giving away the contacts that you're collecting. He goes on to say, instead of 1 + 1 = 2, it equals 2 to infinity. That is so true. Every time I connect two people that need to be connected because I was connected with them at one point, the value that I have on their relationship, it's as good as making a sale. As a matter of fact, it's almost better for me than making a sale. When you connect two people that need to be connected, and the fact that I'm a part of making that happen is just, it's beyond belief how great that feels. I want to encourage you to also consider that. Another part in the networking, he says, the faster you make a match, the less time others have to think of me as calculating. I have had this happen before where two people are trying to connect me, and it feels like they're connecting me because they are trying to get through some sort of a quota. I'm supposed to refer people. I found two people that, maybe there's a connection there or not, but they're really just doing it as an exercise, not because they immediately thought, oh, who you should be connected to? It's so-and-so. I'm going to connect you right now. And they do it immediately. This has happened to me on the other side as well. I was meeting with a leader recently. He identified someone who I should be connected with. He picked up the phone right then and there, called him up and said, hey, Chris Jones is someone who you need to meet with. I'm going to forward you his information. He's sitting right here. I was just thinking of you. I just wanted to give you a heads up. I'm going to connect you. And that whole conversation, for me to see him do that and for the other person on the other line to hear him say that, knowing I was sitting right there, the connection was just fantastic after that. Another section in this book is about compassion. On page 167, Tim writes, when asked, how are you? Answer with, I am okay, only if you are okay. It puts it in great context yet again, that I'm okay as long as other people around me are also being taken care of. If somehow I'm okay at the sacrifice of someone else and they're not okay, this isn't okay. And I just think it's a great concept and a great way to think about and work with and be around people. The last one I'm going to share with you here is be spontaneous. The longer you take to think compassion through, the less credible its ultimate expression is. And so I hope that you take that with what it was intended. I hope that you find these quotes maybe valuable to you. If you just take one of these quotes and decide on a different action or a different form or a different direction that you go because of it, I would consider that a win. Consider picking up the book, The Love is the Killer App, How to Win Business and Influence Friends by Tim Sanders. Tim has actually written also some other books as well. I have read some of those other ones. They're also very, very good. If you have to pick one to start with, though, this is it. This is the one that I highly recommend you start with. Let me know what you think. If you've read this book, what were some of the key takeaways that you took from this book? What are some concepts that maybe I didn't list here? I actually have a bunch more I did not share with you here today. But I'd love to know, what do you think of this book? If you end up picking up the book and reading it, also, love to know what you think. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did it not resonate with you? How did it resonate with you? Let us know what you think. Let us also know what you think of today's video.